ready.
Hello, my name is Richard Taylor from RT Machinery. I'm the Managing Director. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Eliet Prof 6 shredder. This is the wheeled version of the Prof 6. We can offer it in tracked or wheeled. They're power driven units, so we do have traction on the wheeled unit through the tractive tyres, or we can again, as I say, offer you the tracked version. I'm going to give you a little bit of a run through on the machine, going through the basic features and operational bits and pieces on the machine. This is not a demonstration, so we're not going to be using the machine, so we're not going to be using any safety or PPE to do this. I'm just going to talk you through and show you how the machine functions and what its features are. So if we look at the engine, we've got a petrol engine, which is a Briggs & Stratton Vanguard 14 horsepower, running on unleaded petrol, giving us electric start and nice easy access all the way around the engine. We're making the most of the drive facilities from the engine to power the power unit through a dual output. We've got a hydraulic circuit coming off of flywheel side of the engine, which is allowing us to generate enough hydraulic pressure and to share those services to power the feed roller ABM system to allow us to feed the machine with material and control that feed either through input or through output. We've got a sensor on the side of the flywheel allowing us to monitor the RPM and the speed of the machine for hydraulic services and for the feed control. And then on the other side of the engine, we're driving through and out from the crank pulley back up and through to the main rotor, and we're doing this with a double the toothed drive belt, which is allowing us to adjust and tension the belt through its working life and to give a good positive drive, but a little bit of forgiveness in the drive system if we should need it. The 14 horsepower petrol engine has a cyclonic air filter above the carburation system, keeping the engine nice and clean and giving us good access into the cleaner to check and service as required. So explained, we're electric start, so we've got a 12 volt battery here, good access again to the battery should we need to charge or remove the battery. Whilst we've got the unit here and we've got a side profile, you'll notice on and across the wheels we've actually got the machine in a park position, allowing us to stand it here safely while we're talking to you, and that can be engaged and disengaged on the foot pedal mechanism. We'll also, whilst we're here, point out the grease nipples on the caster wheels at the back. They're pneumatic wheels, giving us a nice soft footprint, but with a grease nipple we're able to keep those pivoting freely with a bit of regular greasing. We can also see as we come up the chassis, we've got securing points on the chassis. We've got 4 of these, one either side, and then 2 at the front of the machine, giving us a good fixed point for strapping down and holding down tightly into your vehicle or trailer. Point out another adjustment here while we're here. At the bottom of the engine, we talked about the poly V-belt on the other side. We've got an adjustment here on the engine which is allowing us to tension that belt by moving the engine backwards and forwards if we need to. Coming up again, you see here we've got a nice strong long range fuel tank with a good open filler neck, allowing us to get a reasonable sized funnel onto the tank to top up with fuel ready for work. Coming round the back of the machine, you can see the main controls for the input hopper and the feed hopper. The hydraulic drive to the machine is controlled through a twist bar mechanism here at the back of the unit, where I've got a forward for forward and a back for back twist grip. That's connected down and through to the hydraulic spool valve system here, which is then connecting back through to the hydraulic pump system to give me power drive, so I can move the machine backwards or forwards in and out of work. The other controls at the back are associated with the in-feed and out-feed of the machine. We can regulate the speed and the direction of travel of this hydraulically driven toothed feed roller through these controls at the back. We've got a master control with a locking mechanism for safety. We must have that in or out on the lock mechanism, and then we've also got a safety override stop button, and that's allowing us to have a forward and a reverse rotation of the feed roller in relation to the positioning of this bar. They're totally controllable. Obviously in work we'd be running at an optimum speed using the engine revs to bring the rotor up to speed, and then controlling the feed roller on its direction and its through feed on these control bars at the back, all the time having the override of the stop button to stop the feed roller in emergency. Come back round to the back end, we can see that throughout the machine we've got a very strong chamber where we feed in. Very good finish on the machine and plenty of strength, and we've got a breathing slot at the top to allow air movement to come through. And then securing the main drum at the back, we've got a single point fixing. As I release this with the engine off and the machine static, we come away and we release a safety switch mechanism at the back here as well. Now you'll see here, safety switch. This can only be opened with the machine off, and if we try to start the machine without so, it won't be allowed because of that safety switch. So that's a lovely access into the drum, showing us the workings of the machine. Once the unit has passed the material in, down through, past the feed roller, we feed into these multi-point blades that are bolted around the rotor in a wavy pattern, allowing the material to move and traverse across the drum, being cut and chopped 2 or 3 times as it comes through. Each of these blades is replaceable individually with a 2-bolt fixing, and they have the serrated edge in the back of the shape of the blade to keep a constant sharpened edge as they wear. There will be times that you have to give them a proper sharpen or replace them, but the principle is that they stay sharp through these serrated edges built onto the blade in manufacture. The far side, we've got our impeller, which is picking up the material as it comes across the drum to then pick it and throw it with air movement generated through these 3-point blade sections here and up through and out through the hopper. One of the key features of the Eliet products is the way that we present the material to the blade mechanism. In effect, we're cutting vertically through the grain of the material as it comes down and through into the drum, which is offering the path of least resistance, very similar to cutting or chopping kindling, that we're cutting down through the grain. That also produces a much better shaped chip in its longitude for breaking down and composting or getting back onto the beds than a conventional chop across the grain. So with that hopper pushed back and closed, we find the point where we can swing that back in and lock it back into place, closing the switch, making it safe to operate and to run. At that point, I can now demonstrate and show you how easy it is to rotate the output chute. That can be locked off with a quick tension across the back. In that position, we can then secondly adjust through a range on that slot the output point of the material. So anywhere through the rear rotation, and then by slackening back off again, we can rotate back for transport or for storage. Very, very simple and easy to set up and move each time we get to site. One or two other little features. Obviously, the hydraulic drive to the feed roller. We talked about controlling that. This is the lift and lower mechanism of the feed roller as it lifts to allow material through. Again, greasable, easy to get to points here for greasing. And there is actually a lock-off point where if we need to bring the feed roller right up for maintenance or to free up the machine, we've got a lock-off point on that for safety that locks into the side mechanism. Pneumatic wheels and tyres at the front end on the tractive side. And then just typical Eliet engineering. Good coat of paint, plenty of steel, and fit and ready for a demonstration at any time. We hold them here in stock at RT Machinery, and we're also able to come out to site to do demonstrations or hire. Thank you for your time.